Om
सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै।
Om
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Okay. Vandana, are you happy with the tube light?
Yes, Acharya.
So Vandana had raised, doubt saying whether I had become Indriya Agocharam because he couldn't see my face anymore. So I put on the tube light. Yeah. All right. So last class ended with a question that Bhrigu did tapas. Now, Shruti doesn't say that Varuna instructed Bhrigu to do tapas. So what is the reason? Because the teaching given so far to Bhrigu, is it complete or incomplete? The teaching is of what? The teaching is Saguna Brahman or Nirguna Brahman? What teaching has been given so far? We are talking about Bhrigu Valli, okay? What was it that Bhrigu said? What was the one line in the mantra, one or two lines in the mantra, which described Brahman in Anuvaka number 1? Do you remember? Last class we did the mantra. What is it? What was the description of Brahman that was given?
The creation of the jivas?
No, what is the mantra line? You have to go back to mantra again and again. Remember, Yatova imani bhutani jayante. What does that mean?
From that, the creation, the jivas.
From that which all the jivas are created. Yatova imani bhutani jayante. Yena jatani jivanti. That by which all the jivas are sustained. Yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. That into which all the jivas dissolve on pralayam. And he said, Tad Vijñāsasva, that you must know, that you should have the desire to know. So this is what description of Brahman? Tathastha or Swarupa? What Lakshanam is it? So we are going to use all these words now because we are in Brahmananda Valli. You're all very advanced students. We are in Bhrigu Valli, not Brahmananda Valli.
Tatastha Lakshanam.
Tatastha Lakshanam. Why do you say it is Tatastha Lakshanam?
It's talking about creation.
Yeah.
It is describing creation, right? And
creation. Yeah.
And Brahman as creator, that creation comes and goes. Therefore, it is not permanent. And therefore, it is Tatastha Lakshanam. Now, Tatastha Lakshanam is which Brahman? Saguna or Nirguna?
Saguna.
Saguna.
Okay. Now, remember, we have already talked about Nirguna Brahma Swarupam earlier. What was that?
Satyam Jnanam Anantam.
Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. But this is a particular Valli where Varuna is teaching Bhrigu. Okay. And I know that we said that some commentators say that Varuna teaching Bhrigu can be taken as the common factor for both the Vallis. But if that was true, then Nirguna Brahman has already been taught. So that interpretation we can drop. That sub-commentator's interpretation we can drop, and we can take the other direct interpretation, which is what? That in the two Vallis earlier, in the two chapters earlier, this Shruti was directly speaking to us. And this third one is Varuna speaking to Bhrigu, and Varuna has only taught Saguna Upasana. And therefore Nirguna Upasana remains. And therefore, Bhrigu, being a very sensitive mind, he understands there's something wrong that he has not been able to grasp fully, and therefore he chooses tapas as the sadhana necessary to complete the jnana. And Shankara says that this tapas is manaha ekagrata. It is focusing the one-pointed capacity of the mind to focus. But Shankara doesn't explain anything more. And therefore, we look at Sureshwaracharya's commentary. Sureshwaracharya says tapas here means focusing your attention on what? On Guru Shastra Upadesha, which we otherwise call Shravanam. Okay. And Shankara quotes a verse from Mahabharata, Manasya Indriyanam Aikyagram Paramam Tapaha. That the focusing of the mind and the Indriyas, that is the greatest tapas. So this line is quoted in support of the statement that tapas here means focused attention on Guru Shastra Upadesha. And therefore, what do we have to say? Sa tapo tapyata. That Bhrigu undertook a tapas, undertook Vedantic inquiry. And then what did he do? He satapas taptva. Having finished the inquiry, having completed the inquiry, he came to a particular conclusion. Okay. What is that conclusion? That we will see in Anuvaka number 2, which we will chant now. So please unmute yourself and we can chant Anuvaka number 2. Annam brahmeti vyajanath.
Annam brahmeti
Vyajanath.
Annadyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante.
Anyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante.
Annena jatani jivanti.
Annena
jatani jivanti.
Annam prayantyabhisam vishanti.
Vishanti.
Annam prayantyabhisam vishanti.
Annam
Prayantyabhisam vishanti.
Tadvijnaya
Tadvijnaya
punareva varunam pitaram upasasara.
Punareva varunam
Tamam samsara.
Punareva varunam pitaram upasasara.
Punareva varunam pitaram upasansara.
Adihi bhagavo brahmeti.
Adhihi bhagavo brahmeti.
Tagam hovacha.
Tagam hovacha.
Tapasa brahma vijijñasasva.
Tapasa brahma vijñasva.
Tapo brahmeti.
Tapo brahmeti.
Satapo tapyat.
Tapyata.
Satapas taptva.
Satapastatva.
Okay, so that is Anuvaka number 2. And Bhrigu he conducted the inquiry. And what did he conclude? Remember, he conducted the inquiry on what? On the first idea that Varuna had given him. What was the idea that Varuna gave him? Annam pranam chakshushrotram manovacham iti. That was the idea that was the teaching that Varuna had given. And the first one is Annam, right? And therefore, Bhrigu meditated on Annamaya Kosha and wanted to find out whether this Annamaya Kosha is the Srishti, Sthiti and Laya Karanam of everything. So what does he see? He sees that all beings bhutani, all beings are born from annam alone. So you have to relate this to the teaching. Yatova imani bhutani jayante. All beings are born from annam alone. Yena jatani jivanti. All beings are sustained by annam alone. Yatya prayanti abhisam vishanti. And they all resolve into annam alone. And therefore he concluded that Brahman is annam. Right? Now here we have to be very careful when we interpret this annam. When you say it is Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam for Annamaya Kosha, is it Vyashti Annam or is it Samashti Annam?
Samashti,
Understand why?
because it's speaking about the creation.
Speaking about creation, therefore it is Samashti Annam. And Samashti Annam, when you say, what is the other name for it? Samashti Annam is Samashti Annamaya Kosha. Summation of all Annamaya Koshas. What is the description? Virat. Okay. And so why did he come to this conclusion? So Shankara adds here that because it fits the Lakshanam given by his father, his guru. What was the Lakshanam? Yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisam vishanti. That is the description from which beings are born, by which beings are sustained, and into which all beings resolve. Right? So he says, Annadyeva kalvimani bhutani jayante. That is the conclusion. Okay. So Annam Brahmeti Vajanat. He has understood that Annam is the cause. And Annad Eva, so that has to be broken up carefully. Annadyeva is Annat Eva, then Khalu Imani Bhutani Jayante. Kalvimani is Khalu Imani. Okay. So the breakup is Annat Eva Khalu Imani Bhutani Jayante. Khalu is indeed. So indeed, from Annam alone, all beings are born. So Imani Bhutani is Sarva Annamaya Kosha. That Imani Bhutani refers to all the Annamaya Koshas. And therefore his conclusion is that all Annamaya Koshas are born from this Annam alone. This Annam being Amashti Annam, otherwise called Virat. Not only that, Annena Jatani Jivanti. All beings are sustained because of this Virat alone. So Virat is Srishti Karanam, Virat is Sthiti Karanam, and Annam Prayanti Abhivishanti Iti. Into that Virat alone, all the Annamaya Koshas merge, and therefore he's come to the conclusion that Virat is the Srishti Karanam, Sthiti Karanam, and Laya Karanam, and therefore he says Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. He concludes that Annam is Brahman. Annam Brahma iti Vyajanat. He understood that Annam alone, Virat alone is Brahman. Okay. Then that is the conclusion. After that, what does it say? Tad Vijnaya. Right? He concludes. And Shankara adds over here to explain that that Tad Vijnaya, having so understood, Shankara adds that he was mentally summing up the whole teaching. He was summarizing it. So that, normally when you study, when you finish the study, then you do a mental summary to know whether you got all the points correctly. That is what he was doing. And then suddenly he got a doubt. So Shankara says there was a doubt. This doubt is not stated in this mantra. So Shankara supplies the doubt. What is the doubt? Can you guess what could be the doubt? What is the conclusion? Virat is the Param Karanam. Virat is Brahman. right? And now when summarizing the teaching, he gets a doubt. What is that doubt? What could
Some
be
of
the doubt?
the Karana Shariram and omitting the Sthula Sukshma Shariram and taking only Sthula Vyashti.
You're got it, but you got to put it in the right language.
So Virat can't be the cause.
Why?
It comes and goes. It's also
Because
not a
Virat
permanent.
has a cause.
Yes.
What is the Karanam for
Yeah.
Virat?
Hiranyagarbha.
Hiranyagarbha.
Right. So Virat has a Karanam, Hiranyagarbha, and Virat has a Karyam. Therefore, it is a intermediate Karanam, which in Sanskrit we call Apekshika Karanam, a relative Karanam. It is not the ultimate Karanam. And that doubt he has. What is the doubt? Virat has birth. Why? How do you know that? Because it is said so in the scriptures. And this gross matter, which is Annam, is therefore a product with Hiranyagarbha, which is the cause. So this Samashti Sthula Prapancha, which is Virat, has got a Karanam, a cause, which is Samashti Sukshma Prapancha, which is Hiranyagarbha. And therefore the doubt is that Annam cannot be the Mula Karanam, because the Mula Karanam has to be, the main cause has to be a cause which has no other cause, right? Okay, that is the thinking process that is going on. And then he also thought about, again, Shankara supplies, he also thought about the whole thing and decided that Virat is changing, right? It changes into various products, various, it becomes the earth, it becomes the moon, it becomes the planet, everything is changing in Virat. So that Samashti Annam is always changing. And therefore, he knows that whatever is changing can never be the Karanam. It has to be a Karyam only. Therefore, yet yet savikaram, whatever changes, that Karyam. Whatever has Vikara should have Karyam, should be the Karyam, the product only. And because he had this doubt, he went to his father, and that is what is said here. Punareva Varunam Pitaram Upasara. He again approached his father. What did he say? Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Please teach me Brahman. And Tam Hovacha. Tagum is Vedic chanting, Vedic pronunciation. So Tam Hovacha. Tam here refers to Varuna. Varuna understood what was the doubt, or maybe Bhrigu told Varuna the doubt. All that is not mentioned in the mantra, we have to supply. And therefore, having understood the problem, what did Varuna say? Tapasa Brahma Vijignasasva. He said, you need to do more tapas. You need to do more inquiry. Right? So go and inquire more. And then he says, Tapo Brahmeti. That tapas itself is Brahman, he said. The tapas itself, is Brahman because you require more manana. So go and inquire more. So one point I would like to make here is that throughout these Anuvakas, you will find that the word tapaha is being repeated again and again and again. Every Anuvaka contains several repetitions of the word tapas. What is it for? It is not punarukti dosha. It is not the defect of repetition. Shankara clarifies that the repetition is for the purpose of pointing out, of telling us that the only means of understanding Brahman is to conduct an inquiry. The Atma Vichara is basically what? Shastra Vichara only. And therefore, you have to study the Shastram. You have to undertake an inquiry into the words of the Shastram. And then Shankara adds, how long should this inquiry be done? Shankara adds here, Yavat Jignasa na nivartate. Yavat, until the time, Jignasa, the desire to know, the intellectual curiosity to understand Brahman, na nivartate, has not gone. That means until this curiosity has not been satisfied, until your search for Brahman has not been fulfilled, until the time when there are no more questions in your mind. Until that time, you have to conduct. Okay. Then this Bhrigu went back. What did he do? He said, Sa tapo tape tapyata, sa tapas tapva. Sa tapo atapyata. He did more mananam. And sa tapas tapva. Having concluded the mananam, he came to a conclusion. What is the conclusion? That conclusion is there in Anuvaka number 3, which we will chant. It is almost exactly the same Anuvaka. Very few words have changed. So please unmute yourself.
Om sir.
Yeah.
Upasasara means going
Approached.
close to
Upasasara,
approach.
approached in the prescribed manner.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Acharya,
Yes, John.
what was the question that the Bhrigu asked his father after he was thinking? Please teach me what?
Yeah, the question was the same. Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Please teach me Brahman.
Okay.
So you have to add over here that your father said, what nonsense, I already taught you. And then and then he said, no, I meditated upon Annam, and then how can Annam, all those dialogues you have to imagine. It's not there in Shruti. Neither Shankara comments nor the mantra comments. So mentally we have to fulfill all that. And having conveyed his doubt, how can Annam be final? Because Annam has a cause.
Yes.
And therefore his father says, you go and meditate more. Which means what? You have meditated only upon Annam. Right? But I also told you Pranam, Chakshusotram, etc. So go complete that inquiry. Okay, so he goes back.
Acharya, this looks like that Nachiketa's Yamadharma's conversation. I think he keeps telling, this is not Brahman. I think there's some more higher and higher.
Anyway, that
Similar.
was a different thing. We'll come to that. Okay. Right. Now, we go to Anuvaka number 3. We will chant. Prano Brahmeti Vyajanat.
Prano Brahmeti Vyajanat.
Pranadyeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante.
Pranadeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante.
Pranena Jatani Jivanti.
Pranena Jatani Jivanti.
Pranam Prayantyabhisam Vishantiti.
Pranam Prayantya Vishanti.
Tadvignaya.
Tadvidyaya.
Punareva Varunam Pitaram Upasasara.
Punareva
Varunam
Pitaram Upasasara.
Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti.
Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti.
Tagam Hovacha.
Kagum
Hovacha.
Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva.
Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva.
Tapo Brahmeti.
Tapo
Brahmeti.
Satapo Tapyat.
Tapo Tapyat.
Satapastaptva.
Satapastatva.
Okay. So this inquiry is again exactly the same as the previous inquiry. In fact, Shankara believes that we are all smart people. I mean, smarter than we are. So he doesn't comment at all on the next 3 Anuvakas. He simply says it's exactly in the same manner. So what does he do? Pranat eva khalu imani bhutani jayante. This is his meditation. From prana alone. Why is he coming to prana? Because Annam has been dismissed. As he has decided that Annam is not Brahman. Right? You have to relate this to the Panchakosha meditation. We have already covered it earlier in the earlier thing, but it is a more detailed analysis. So having dismissed Annamaya Kosha, in fact, having dismissed Samashti Annam, Virat he has dismissed as Brahman. Therefore, now he is coming to the Pranamaya Kosha. So he says, Pranat eva khalu, indeed all beings Bhutani jayante are born from pranat eva, from pranat alone. And again, pranena jatani jivanti, all beings are sustained by prana alone. And pranam prayanti abhisam vishanti iti. All beings resolve into prana on pralayam. And therefore, what is the conclusion? Pranaha brahmeti vyajana. Prana is Brahman. Tad vijnaya. This was his conclusion. And then, what does he do? He meditates more. He arrives at samashti prana as the srishti, sthiti, la karanam. And therefore, he says that prana tattvam is Brahman. Remember, prana is subtler than annam. Pranamaya kosha is inner to annamaya kosha. And therefore, Bhrigu concludes that pranamaya kosha is the cause for annamaya kosha. Therefore, pranamaya is the srishti, sthiti, laya karanam. And therefore, he says, okay, prana is Brahman. But then, again, he, while summarizing, he has the same difficulty. Why? The mula karanam, the final karanam versus apekshika karanam. Because pranamaya also, prana also has a beginning. Therefore, what does he do? Punareva varunam pitaram upasasara. He decides to go back to his father. And then he says, Adihi bhagavo brahmeti, teach me Brahman once again, O Lord. And you have to imagine the same conversation. If his father said, you have talked only about annam and pranam. So he says, tapasa brahma vijignyasasva. Hey Bhrigu, go back and meditate more. Go back, inquire more. Because tapo brahmeti, tapas itself is Brahman. More mananam is required. More inquiry is required. Therefore, Bhrigu went back. Satapo attapyat. He did more mananam. And satapas taptva, having done the mananam, he came to one more conclusion. And what is that? We will go to Anuvaka number 4. It's exactly identical. So only the object of meditation is changed. So Anuvaka 4. Mano brahmeti vyajanat.
Mano brahmeti
vyajana.
Manaso heva khalvimani bhutani jayante.
Manaso
Manaso
hyeva
heva
kalvimani bhutani jayante.
Manasa jatani jivanti.
Manasa
Manasa
jatani
jatani
jivanti.
jivanti.
Manah prayanti abhisam vishanti.
Manah
Manah
prayantyabhisam
prayanti
vishanti.
abhisamvishanti.
Tadvijnaya
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 punareva varunam pitaram upasasara.
punareva varunam
punareva
pitaram
varunam pitaram
upasasara.
upasasara.
Adihi bhagavo brahmeti.
Adhihi
Adhihi
bhagavo
bhagavo
brahmeti.
brahmeti.
Tagam hovacha.
Yagam hovacha.
Sagam hovacha.
Tapasa brahma vijignyasasva.
Tapasa brahma
Tapasa brahma
vijñāsasva.
vijñāsasva.
Tapo brahmeti.
Tapo
Tapo
brahmeti.
brahmeti.
Satapo tapyat.
Tatapo tapyat.
Tatapo tapyat.
Tatapastaptva.
Tatapastaptva.
Tatapastatva.
So again, an entirely same type of inquiry. And I give the running meaning is that from Pranamaya Kosha, Bhrigu went to Manomaya Kosha and came to the conclusion that everything comes from Samashti Manaha, because Pranamaya Kosha is subtler than is less subtle than Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha is more subtle than Pranamaya Kosha, and therefore Manomaya Kosha is the Karanam for Pranamaya Kosha. Okay. Remember, when we say mind here, we have to be very careful. Mind it's a substance. Sukshma dravyam, subtle substance. It is anatma, matter, right? There is a very popular definition of mind as flow of thoughts. Vedanta doesn't accept this. So in Vedantic terminology, whenever you're talking Vedanta, never define the mind as a flow of thoughts, because then you are taking away from the basic definition of Shastram. What is that? Mind is the substratum, the adhishthanam, the locus from where thoughts arrive, into which thoughts are sustained, and into which they resolve. That is a mind is the adhishthanam, it's a locus. And therefore, mind is a vastu, it's a dravyam, a substance, a non-tangible substance, sukshma dravyam, but a substance nevertheless. Right? And even when thoughts are not there, for example, Sushupti Avastha, remember, mind does not disappear. In the other definition, when the flow of thought stops, there is no mind, because mind is defined as flow of thoughts. But in Vedanta, when the thoughts are not there, the mind will continue to survive, since it is substance, right? And therefore, very important distinction has to be drawn. Thought is not the mind. Vedanta says thought is mano vrittihi. Vritti means, literally vritti means a thought, okay, but vritti, the real translation of vritti, a meaning of vritti is also function. Therefore, mano vritti means function of the mind. What is the function of the mind? To generate thoughts. That is why thoughts are called vritti. It's a implied meaning, not the direct meaning. Right. Okay. Another thing is that, one more important point is that when we add the pratyaya maya, pratyaya meaning what? Suffix here. When we add the suffix maya to any word, remember this word maya conveys the meaning of having been produced. So it is a karyam. It's a product, right? So when you say that this ornament is Swarnamaya, it means the ornament is a product of Swarnam, gold, right? Whereas Swarnam, the gold itself, is the Karanam. So Swarnam is Karanam, the ornament is Swarnamaya, the product is Swarnamaya, the cause. And therefore here, when the word Maya is added to the Vyashti, Annam or Pranam or whatever, it refers to the Karyam. The point I'm making is very, very subtle. When you say Annamaya, this Maya suffix is conveying the meaning of a product of what? Of Annam. So Annam without suffix is Samashti Annam, which is Virat. Annamaya with the suffix, the same Annam with the suffix, refers to the Vyashti, the product, the Karanam, which is what? The physical body. Similarly, when you say Prana, Prana is Samashti Karanam, Hiranyagarbha. But when you say Pranamaya, it is the Kosha, it is the Vyashti, which is the Karyam. I hope I'm clear. The difference of Samashti and Vyashti is being brought out very simply by the addition of a suffix Maya. So Annam is Samashti, Annamaya is Vyashti. Annam is Karanam, Annamaya is Karyam. Annamaya means individual physical body. Annam means Samashti physical body, which is Virat. Okay. And therefore, here again, Bhrigu, while doing the analysis, discovers that mind is a product, right? And then he knows that there is Shruti Pramanam and Yukti Pramanam. He knows that Samashti Manaha, the Hiranyagarbha, also has a birth. Which is the Pramanam for Hiranyagarbha having birth? We have done.
Mundaka Upanishad.
Mundaka Upanishad.
Yeah.
Where?
It says the Brahman it is the first one to be born, Brahma.
First one to be born is Brahman. Okay, so Mundaka Upanishad is Pramanam, the Hiranyagarbha also is born. And Bhrigu knows all this. Therefore, he knows that Hiranyagarbha also has birth, and therefore Prana cannot be Brahman, final Brahman. And of course, Yukti Pramanam is also there, logic is also there. Mind is a product, therefore it is born. And therefore, again he is dissatisfied. Again he goes back to his father. Father tells him again that you should do more meditation, more inquiry, indicating that he needs more mananam. See, note the order in which mananam is happening, right? Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. What does it indicate? Panchakosha Viveka. So Bhrigu does more mananam and then comes to one more conclusion, which is Anuvaka number 5, which we will chant. Vijnanam brahmeti vyajanat.
Vijnanam brahmeti vyajanat.
Brahmeti vyajana.
Vijnanadeva khalvimani bhutani jayante.
Vijnanatyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante.
Vijnanena jatani jivanti.
Vijnanena jatani jivanti.
Vijnanam prayantapi samvishanti.
Vijnanam prayantyaphi samvishanti.
Tadvijnaya.
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 Punareva varunam pitaram upasasara.
Punareva varunam pitaram upasasara.
Adihi bhagavo brahmeti.
Adihi bhagavo brahmeti.
Tagam hovacha.
Tagum hovacha.
Tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva.
Tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva.
Tapo brahmeti.
Tapo brahmeti.
Tapo tapyat.
Satapo tapyat.
Tatapastaptva.
Tatapastaptva.
Okay. So from Manomaya Kosha, he has to go to Vijnanamaya Kosha. He arrives at the same conclusion that Vijnanamaya Kosha is, which is Samashti. Vijnanamaya Kosha is the product, and Vijnanamaya Kosha springs from Samashti Vijnanamayam, which is again Hiranyagarbha. So note that even though we are talking about the Hiranyagarbha as a totality, Hiranyagarbha we are having 3 different layers, right? What are they? Prana, Manaha, and Vijnana. Each is increasing subtlety. So his analysis is proceeding along the Panchakosha Viveka, which is in increasing order of Sukshmatvam, subtlety. Therefore, Vijnanamaya, of course, is more subtle than Manaha, which is more subtle than Pranaha, which is more subtle than Annam. Then, if you want to understand the 3 of these activities, 3 of these ideas, look at the Shakti emanating from each of these koshas, right? From Pranamaya Kosha, what Shakti is there?
Kriya Shakti.
Kriya Shakti. From Manomaya Kosha, what Shakti is there?
Ichha Shakti.
Ichha Shakti. From Vijnanamaya Kosha, what Shakti is there?
Jnana Shakti.
Jnana Shakti. So
Yeah.
these 3 Shaktis are necessary for any activity. Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti. What is the flow? From where does it begin and where does it end?
Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Ichha Shakti first.
No,
Jnana Shakti. Ichha, Kriya and Jnana.
it's not Ichha, Kriya, Jnana. That's a very common misconception. Let me tell you. 40 years ago, let's say 40 years ago, okay, I didn't have any desire for mobile phones. Why?
Because I had no knowledge. So
No
Gyan
knowledge, no jnana about that, right? It was not there. So jnana shakti is first. First, you have to know about something. Once you know about something, then you can develop ichha. And once ichha is there, then you can develop the kriya part of it. Thus, jnanam, and it's very obvious from the koshas. Which is the most subtle kosha? Vijnanamaya. Among these, among the three, Vijnanamaya is the most subtle, most sukshma. Therefore, jnanam is the most powerful one. So, jnanam, then manomaya, ichha, then pranamaya, kriya. So Vijnanamaya represents Jnana Shakti, Manomaya represents Ichha Shakti, Kriya represents Prana Shakti. Right? The Samashti Vijnanam, that is Hiranyagarbha. I mean, what the word itself, Hiranyam, literally gold. But here, that gold stands for the shine. Just as the shine on the gold does not fade, the brilliance of Jnanam also does not fade. And therefore, Hiranyam, actually meaning, literal meaning gold, is to be taken as Sarva Jnanam. And therefore, Bhrigu comes to the conclusion that Vijnanam is Brahman. But again, after Mananam, he comes to the same problem. He knows that Vijnanam is also Karyam, and therefore cannot be Brahman. So he goes to his father again, and his father again says, what does he say? He says the same thing, that tapasa brahma vijignyasasva tapo brahmeti. Go and do more mananam, because tapaha is Brahman. And therefore, sa tapo atapyata, he goes and meditates more, and satapas tapva, having completed his inquiry, he comes to a conclusion, which is there in the 6th Anuvaka, which we will chant. Okay. Anando brahmeti vyajanat.
Anando brahmeti
व्यजानात्
आनन्दाद्येव खल्विमानि भूतानि जायन्ते
आनन्दाद्येव कल्पिमानि भूतानि जायन्ते
जायन्ते
आनन्देन जातानि जीवन्ति
आनन्देन जातानि जीवन्ति
जीवन्ति
आनन्दं प्रयन्त्यपि संविशन्तीति
आनन्दं प्रयन्त्यपि विशान्तिः
विशन्तीति
सैषा भार्गवी वारुणि विद्या
सैष भार्गवी अरुणि विद्या
विद्या
सैषा भार्गवी वारुणि विद्या
सैष
भार्गवी
भार्गवी वरुणि विद्या
परमे व्योमन् प्रतिष्ठिता
परमे व्योमन्
परमे व्योमन् प्रतिष्ठिता
एवं वेद प्रतिष्ठति
स य एवं वेत्त प्रतिष्ठति
अन्नवान् अन्नादो भवति
अन्नवान् नावादो भवन्ति
नादो भवति
महान् भवति
महान् भवति
महान् भवति
प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन
प्रजा
प्रजया
पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन
वर्चसेन
महान् कीर्त्या
महान् कीर्त्या
महान् कीर्त्या.
Okay. So, here of course in the beginning Shankara points out that we should not forget that this is basically only Panchakosha Vivekaha. It is not a fresh teaching. It was already taught in Brahmavalli. Okay. So Bhrigu, what has happened? He has gone inwards. He has inquired into the inner koshas, and now he has arrived at what? And this is important. He has arrived at what? Anando. Right? Here it is not the Anandamaya Kosha. Here it is the Ananda Atma. That is a very important understanding here. And Ananda is what? Is the original Ananda, the Bimba Ananda, not Pratibimba Ananda. It is not a Kosha. And therefore here Anando Brahmeti refers to Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam Brahmeti. Consciousness is Brahman. And therefore he has discovered that consciousness is Brahman. Ananda here is equal to Atma, is equal to Brahman. Therefore, Atma and very important point here, Anandaha Brahman. Right? Anandaha is Atma. Therefore, Atma Brahman. This is the equating Atma and Brahman. They are one and the same, and they don't have any other meaning. Our Atma is Brahman, Brahman is Ananda. And therefore, neither Atma nor Brahman nor Ananda, either of these words, any of these three words, they do not refer to any kind of experience at all, because it is being equated to Brahman. Right? So usage of the word Ananda here, remember, is as Srishti, Sthiti and Laya Karanam. What is he inquiring into? He is inquiring into Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam. And therefore the word Ananda here cannot be taken as any experience of Ananda. Why? Because experience is impermanent. It's a karyam. And therefore Ananda here being in the context of an inquiry into Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam has to be understood as Chaitanya Tattva, the consciousness principle itself. And that brings us to a very important point which comes out in the discussions, that Ananda here cannot be translated as happiness. It has to be translated as infinite. Because everything else is temporary. Only the infinite is not temporary. Only the infinite is permanent. And therefore happiness, bliss, whatever you call it, sukham, all these are temporary. Therefore this Ananda is infinite, Purnatvam alone. That is the consciousness principle or the existence principle. And again, a very important point is being brought out. Ananda, Ananta is equal to existence, is equal to consciousness. And this we have seen earlier, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Remember, in that definition, Ananta was there, Ananda was not there. So that this meaning of Ananta you have to pull out from there, because Satyam and Jnanam is there in that definition, in the definition of Brahman, which was given in earlier chapter, right? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam is what? Satyam Chit. And therefore that Anantam is the equivalent of the Ananda over here. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is Satya Jnana, Sat Chit Ananda. All are definitions in the principle aspect. They are not experienced anything. It's a principle itself. It's not experienced existence. It is not experienced consciousness. It is not experienced happiness also. Everything else is born from this particular principle alone. Therefore, Sat, Chit, Ananda, they are not adjectives. They are not adjectives to Brahman. You cannot say Brahman is Chit, Sat Brahman, Chit Brahman, Ananda Brahman. But you have to say Brahman is Chit, Brahman is Sat, Brahman is Ananda. They are nouns, they are not adjectives. Why do you say that? Any adjective has to be associated with an object, right? And therefore, if you associate existence with some object, that existence appears when the object is born, and that existence disappears when the object is destroyed. So it is reflected existence. But what is the reality? That existence is still there, but it becomes inaccessible to my indriyas, because the object which is the reflecting medium has gone, right? Therefore, these are nouns, Sat, Chit and Ananda. Who is that Satchitananda? I am that Satchitananda, and therefore I cannot be experienced. So having come to this, Bhrigu finds that this Ananda Tattvam is Ananta. It is not born. Right? It is not born, nor does it go away. It is not a karyam. It is not a karanam. It is not subject to change. It is a witness. Najayate mriyate va kadachite. It is not subject to change. It is not born. It is not die also. Therefore, it is constantly, eternally non-changing. It has to be the final karanam alone. And therefore, he says, Anandam Brahmeti Vajana. That consciousness principle is Brahman alone. And with this, the journey has ended. How do you know? Because he does not go back to his father. That line, Punareva Varunam Pitaram Upasasara, is not there in the Anuvaka. And therefore, this person's journey has ended. And therefore, the Shruti says, Sa Esha Bharagavi Varuni Vidya. This Vidya, given by Varunaha to Bhrigu, is called Bhargavi Vidya. Why Bhargavi? Because that knowledge was received by Bhrigu. What is received by Bhrigu is Bhargavi. On a side note, if you look at the Sanskrit dictionary for the meaning of Varuni, Varuni means liquor in the dictionary, okay? So Varuni Vidya is basically spiritual knowledge. Even that what you call, tallies. And then Parame Vyoman Pratishtita. That this Sakshi Chaitanya Atma is located where? Parame Vyoman. Pratishtita is established, is located where? Parame Vyoman, which is the space of the heart called Hridaya Akashe. Hridaya Akasha, the space in the heart. And that is where this particular Sakshi Chaitanya Atma is located, also located, or seen to be located. Available, there is a better translation of this Pratishtita. Pratishtita really means located or established. But consciousness principle is everywhere. So you can't really say it is established in the heart, but you can say it is available for recognition in the heart. And that is what is being referred to as Pratishtita, established over here. And then Upanishad gives the fruits, the phalam. Saya evam veda. The one who has done this Panchakosha Viveka and has understood that this particular Ananda Atma is Brahman, sa pratitishthati. That person will be established in Brahmajnanam. He will be a Jivan Mukta. That is the direct benefit of this knowledge. Then you might ask, okay, I have got this Jivan Mukti. Do I have any other benefits? He says, yes. Annavan annado bhavati. He will have plenty of food. And annadaha bhavati. Not only will he have food, annadaha means, there are two portions here. Annavan, annadaha. Annavan means one who has plenty of annam, plenty of food. Annadaha means you have the capacity to eat the food. You can have plenty of food and have a problem with your intestines. But here he is saying not only will he have food, he will be physically fit enough to enjoy the food also. And then Mahan Bhavati. He becomes a great person. Why? Prajaya. He has good children. But he has lots of good children, intelligent children who also want to do Vedanta. So Prajaya. He becomes a great man because he has good children, plenty of children. Pashubihi. He has plenty of cattle. And Pashubihi literally meaning cattle, but you have to take it as wealth. So he is a wealthy person also. He has a family also. And Brahma Varchasena. Brahma Varchasam is the brilliance arising from spiritual knowledge. So he will be great in terms of being a brilliant personality. Mahan Kirtiya. He will become a famous teacher also. He will get a lot of fame. How? He can become a teacher. Or he can become great in his own field, whatever he is doing. Such is the benefit of this Atma Jnanam. With this, we'll stop for today. Next time, we'll do Anuvaka number 7. Any questions?
Om Acharyaji.
Yes, John.
So before we emphasize that in Vedanta, we don't define the mind as a flow of thoughts.
No, you don't define the
What?
mind as flow of thoughts, because
Yes.
mind is a locus always. It cannot be a flow, right? It is anatma. We have been seeing that from Tattva days onwards. It doesn't flow.
So why we need to emphasize on this fact in Vedanta?
Because you're taking it as a substance.
Okay.
And you will see that in other Upanishads also, there's a which one resolves into what. That the mind resolves, the function of the mind resolves. All those questions will come up in various other Upanishads. So in Upanishad, remember, mind is the substance. It's like the ocean. The ocean is the substance. In that ocean, waves are born and waves die. So in that mind, which is the ocean, the thought waves are born, thought waves are sustained, and thought waves resolve. That is the correct understanding. You should never use mind as a flow of thoughts. Very common in Yoga Sutra. All those who are very, very focused on Yoga Sutra. But remember, Yoga Sutra also talks about Chitta. Chitta is the mind substance.
Om Acharya,
Chitta vritti, right? The vritti belonging to Chitta. Yes, Vinita ji.
Acharya.
Small question. You had paused at Vigyaya time. Is
I can't hear you, Vinita ji.
significance to that?
I can't hear you.
You said Tadvigyaya, pause, then Punareva Varunam Pitara
Having understood
Upasasara.
in this manner,
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now, Acharya?
Yes, Tadvinyaya means having understood in this manner.
Okay.
In which manner? That there is something wrong with my understanding. Therefore, he went to his father.
Right. Thank you, Acharya.
Indira ji, you were saying something.
Yes, Acharya. I know it would sound silly, or maybe if it was already discussed, I'm not sure. So now, since we are at the creation part understanding, I mean, it would be silly, but in that particular creation itself, is it, suppose if we talk about the seed and the tree, which one is born first?
Creation is a cycle. You can never ask the question which came first.
No, I'm literally going in terms of the sthula samashti. Suppose if we have to talk
Your
the
question
creation.
is presupposing there is a beginning. There is never a beginning to creation.
Yes, that is anadi. So I'm thinking like this particular existence, whatever we see anatma, which is so perceivable to our panchagananendriyas. So in that term, I'm asking, is there an answer that, what has come to existence first is in terms of the sthula?
No, I have not understood the question at all, actually.
No, Acharya, like the prapancha, what we see right now, right?
Yeah.
So the creation has happened means like whatever we see, the earth, solar system, or the whatever we see, pancha mahabhutas at the gross level, what is born first?
Srishti tells you that you have the tanmatras.
Yes.
Sukshma Panchabhutanis. Then there is the Panchakarnam process. Then there is the Bhautikanis. From the Bhautikanis, everything else is born.
Okay, so I will have to first the tanmatras. Understood, Acharya. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so with this we'll stop. Thank you for your patience, and please go through these again, and then we'll continue in the next class.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you so much.